All right, this here is a bit of a special edition today. Getting ready to have some open conversation on the live stream. And I'm also going to be inviting a guest on here momentarily once we get set up. And we're just going to go from there. So right now, I'm getting started. I don't really have I'm assuming, hoping to get started in the next 10 minutes. So hang in there. All right, brother. I see you in the green room. Getting ready to tap you in here in just a moment. Let me send an announcement to the group. Okay, sir, I have tapped you in. We're both logged into the feed here on StreamYard this afternoon, being Thursday afternoon. And let me just set it up a little bit for those of you out there who might be watching this on the playback or might be joining us live right now. Brother Adele and I were going back and forth on talking about bringing up topics for our group here. And he suggested that we just go live and just, kind of discuss things openly. So, and I happen to agree. So that's what we're going to do today. That's the purpose today. We're going to be on here for a little while, depending on his schedule and my schedule here. So this is kind of an impromptu special edition, if you will. And brother, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for coming on today and actually suggesting that we go ahead and go live. This is what I'm talking about. Organic conversation. Let everybody know.
Peace and love. Peace and love to everybody. Assalamu alaikum. This is your brother Adele Muhammad Ali, representative of the Embassy of the Moors. And just as Brother Dolph shared, we just wanted to bring, organic conversation around the topic of, what should, we put at the forefront of discussion. and we wanted to, also hear from those within the group on suggestions that they may have that they deem a necessity or an importance that we should, delve into. So I'm grateful to be here to be able to have this open dialogue with you, Brother Dolph. So thank you for your time.
Hey, it's never a problem, man. I don't even know how to really title this as other than open mind space today. Just kind of exchanging ideas, kicking things around, making it organic, right? And as I'm working on a number of things to try to expand my personal profile, you have offered the actual embassy platform to me to stream from, and I appreciate it. And I have used it before, and I don't mind using it. And you'll probably hear my voice in the future. We're working on something in conjunction. Hopefully, and I don't mean to put you on the spot, brother, but
No problem.
working on something in conjunction together, and maybe you might hear my voice under the banner of the Embassy of the Moors. But as of today, I'm using my platform here, and at other times I will be presenting at times my own perspective on things, but not necessarily under the Embassy banner. Not to say anything to detract from it, because that's the last thing I would want to do. But this is pretty much the profile that I operate from, which is learning more truth, learning more chronicles, and kind of a vehicle for me to learn as I learn about my Moorish history and background, and hopefully spread the information along. And we're able to, Brother Adele and I are able to meet in the middle and try to determine subject matter that might be valuable or invaluable to those of you out there. And I'm not placing myself on a pedestal, nor is Brother Adele, but we do believe in advancing certain truths, and hopefully and making those truths empowering to people somewhere along the way, as we do our part to build this organization, and even further than just it being an organization, and going from that point. So let's see, man. What made you hit me up today, man? What are we going to really touch on and talk about? Let me know what's up.
Just seeing your comments within the feedback section on what we should discuss on Wednesdays and such, and it was just getting me in an open mind of different things we can discuss, things that we could discuss in the platform of a series, just many different things that the people aren't even aware of. And to sum up what the comments that you were sharing, that I got from it was the literature. The literature is controlled by the United States corporate government, the United States government, but all of these corporations, as you mentioned, that have
You still there? Did I just lose you? I just lost your audio, brother. I just lost your audio. You're still on the feed though, but I just lost your audio. Okay, I just lost it. Oh, okay. You'll have to plug back in. Go on and plug back in, brother. Just lost your audio. I did not kick him off, by the way. I did not kick him off, but this is open discussion. You're welcome to join us if you would like to. Brother Dale Muhammad Ali from the Embassy of the Moors, and I'm streaming this to Facebook, my personal Facebook account, as well as my Facebook page that I operate called Learning More Truth, in addition to Learn More Truth on YouTube, I believe. And I'm waiting to see if he'll come right back in. Hang in there with me. I'm actually looking at and pulling up the topics that we discussed. What topic would you like to see being discussed, or to see discussed on our Wednesday lives? And those of you who may not be aware, especially those of you that might catch this later, every 2 weeks, Wednesday night, we have a group study session, group discussion, bringing up various topics of interest occurring within society that affect us as, well, Moors, or as Black people, those of us in society today. And we plan on bringing up more information to you, and as we work in a collaborative manner, and bringing forth the information. Brother Adele, I still don't see, I don't see you in the green room yet. No pressure. Let me see. Let me make sure my connections are correct. Okay, everything's good on my end. So you know what? Let me send you another. I'll send another link again. I'll send you another link to the. I'm gonna send it to your messenger, and you could use that link if you would, please, sir. We were just getting ready to get started. Anybody else that would like to come on the show, let me know. I'll send you the link as well. Please feel free. This is open discussion today, open mind space. I'm your host, Brother Adele, Brother Dolph, otherwise known as Brother Dolph, rather. There we go. I heard a little ding ding. Hold on 1 second. Things happen, you know. Things happen in the big city. And I am going to add you to the stream. All right, where'd you go, man? Where'd you go? Was it personal? What happened, man?
Oh, I don't know what happened.
All right, welcome back, man.
Where did I lose you?
Well, I didn't boot you off, and let's see here. I just pulled up the group page right now where you had posted up a couple days ago. Hold on a second. As the 9th, on the 9th, you posed the question: what topic would you like to see discussed on our Wednesday lives? And there were a number of them from me, by the way. I see 3 of them right here on the page. Trying to get more engagement from other people, of course, but I'm sure people are busy. But well, I'll go in with, since I already have the page open, I'll go in with what I contributed to the thread. It came to my mind this morning about colonial usurpation. Colonial usurpation, that the colonies, 13 colonies, usurped what had previously existed here, you know, that ended up becoming the United States Incorporated, if you will. And I don't want to get flagged by saying that. But those of you who have been studying more science and other things having to do with history of the United States should be able to understand what I'm saying when I use the term colonial usurpation. Can it be undone? And if so, how? Also, what also came up today, because I get information everywhere. People send me stuff or whatever, or I dig stuff up. And the question is how, or not really a question, it's a statement. How truly easy is it for people to conform? Actually, that was a question, my bad. How truly easy it is for people to conform. Social conformity driven by propaganda and other elements which are factors in guiding decisions among the masses. And let's see. And by the way, I'm the self-nominated media minister for the organization. So I haven't been booted off yet. Anyway, let's see. The last one I heard about, or actually tapped in on just a few minutes ago, that prompted, I think that had to do with prompting this discussion, was you'll hear in certain circles in Black consciousness this term about being on code. Being on code. And well, since this is my program, I'll speak a little bit more plainer. What the hell is being on code? But I didn't say that in the verbiage though. But is there a code to subscribe to that we actually do follow? If so, what is it? Define what it entails, if anything. How is there a code in place among a fallen / damaged people that's experienced a multi-generational pattern of disenfranchisement? And 2 more points. I'll be at that. What is considered appropriate behavior in society among our people? And what I was thinking about that particular question had to do with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr.'s book. It's an extremely long title that talks about racism, and basically there's 9 areas of activity occurring in the universe among human beings. Let's see, what is considered appropriate behavior, right? What standards are there that you subscribe to that are reflective of what it is you represent? So, those are some of the topics that I would like to bring up in our community, as well as I might even do something else on my own. But there's a litany of things that I actually wanted to bring up. as part of the group for discussion, but I don't know if we're going to be able to touch on any of that today. We just want to just have open conversation right now. All right, the mic's all yours. I've talked you out. I'm sorry about that. Go ahead. I must have lost him. Oh, okay, I got to add him again.
Okay, great.
There we go. Okay, you there?
Thank you. Yep, I'm here. I was
All right.
with you. I just have to refresh.
Okay. Oh, thanks for coming back.
Being on code.
Yeah, that was a lot I dropped on you. Yeah, on code, man. Let's knock that out first.
You know, it's just something that just sound cool. You know, because really, just as you mentioned, you know, when we are disenfranchised, when we are, you know, oppressed, then a lot of us aren't going off something substantial or nothing concrete with a foundation. You know, this is why during slavery we were stripped from our religious creed. So we wouldn't have a code to go by. So what we deem a code today is only placed in the basket of rebellion to the status quo. So if we are rebelling against the laws at hand, then this is being on code. You know, if we are against the police, that's being on code. You know, if we are, you know, supporting endeavors against, you know, the so-called black community, this is us being off code. So it's just one of those things of being on the side of rebellion in, you know, certain conditions and environments. And it's up to one to be capricious enough, or we could say conscious enough, to know when it's the time to read things in that type of manner. When is the time to be on code?
All right. So, you know, I think when it comes to being on code, you have to follow something that was previously constructed, I would think. I mean, and it all depends on
Right.
It all depends on the person's values and how they grew up.
Exactly, their creed.
You know, and there's so much misbehavior that's going on, which will lead me more to believe that there is not an applied code in practice among us. I mean, there's not one code book that I could see that I can pull out and say, okay, well, you know, they went foul or they did this and that and the third. And I'm wondering, well, whose standards are we then following?
Right.
You know, and that's kind of why I kind of got sick of hearing that, because it is so trendy, just like the term being woke. You know, it's like being woke, it just, I guess, makes you more appealing to people that are supposedly like-minded with you. You know, that's I could see that being an honest intention, to try to see if you can align yourself with those who are like-minded with you, to the point where there could be some forward progress. But it just turns out to be like another negative caste category rather, by saying that you're woke, by saying that you're on code, when you got, I mean, I'm not painting a broad brush here, but you know, I happen to follow data, and I get a bit miffed, irked, bothered when I see the weekend death rates in places like Chicago, Dallas, Los Angeles occurring among our people. So that tells me there's some inappropriate behavior going on out there, that there actually is not a code. However, I do know of some people that do follow codes that aren't necessarily considered your pillars of community, of the community. There used to be a code, rather, back in the 60s and 70s among people that were in certain um, street tribes, I'll say, you know, and even those groups have lost their way somewhat. At least, the younger generations that have come along, because we're still in the same cycle. We're still in the same perpetual cycle, and we don't acknowledge openly. And I'm not saying that I support victimhood either, but it doesn't seem like we acknowledge that we're damaged, that we acknowledge that we are a fallen people, that we're people that doesn't necessarily need a leg up. We just need to get ourselves together first.
Right.
And a lot of that comes with morals, because we talked about morals last week, right?
Yeah. Morals. And just as you mentioned about conformity, we easily conform, because we don't have the tangible power. The media is not controlled by us. We don't control, Hollywood. We don't control these record labels. We don't control what's being pumped through the television. We don't control the literature that's being distributed to our children in the systems and, the school systems, nor do we control how the justice system, so-called, justify oppressing us even further. We don't control these things. We just conform.
Right. So do we conform to an existing construct that is not our own? Is it fair to say that? I mean, when we're talking about conformity, and I'm actually going to do a bit more research on that. But when I know, speaking from my standpoint, I knew I didn't want to conform to certain behaviors to wind up being incarcerated. I didn't want to wind up with a prison number. So, I mean, I'm just saying, me, the way I grew up, I didn't want to end up in a bad situation. So I didn't go certain routes in my life. And I was steered away from certain things. In some cases, I was sheltered from certain things, even though I knew things were there for me to engage in. Certain activities I could engage in. Not that I was of a higher moral ground or that I was even acknowledging my divinity or anything like that, but I was raised with a certain set of values to not do this, or else this will be the result. Pretty much lived my life thinking about cause and effect. But when you're surrounded by, because I moved around a lot as a kid, and I think that's what helped. It's what's helped me to see outside of where I was at a certain age and know that I wanted more, that I wasn't confined to a specific area, that I could, but I had to conform in order to live out in certain areas, right?
Right.
Because things where I came from were falling out of place drastically. Over policing, let's say. The infusion of the drug trade back in, as early as I can remember, 77, 78, 79, before it really jumped off in the 80s. And the writing was on the wall. I didn't see it all, but my mother moved me out of it. So I had to conform. When we moved to certain areas of the Southland, and then I was looking into a certain career, I had to conform to it. I had to conform to the environment. I had to conform and pattern myself certain ways. Well, rather, I had to pattern myself certain ways so I could conform and look like I would be a productive member of society, right? At least give that appearance. Some people would think you're actually wrong for that, for actually having to conform to the dominant society per se. It's only said that it's a dominant society because, we're talking about the people that have the good credit ratings, that don't get um, racially profiled if they end up in a particular neighborhood during a certain time, things like that. So you subscribe to certain behaviors, you lend yourself to a certain appearance so you don't garner any scrutiny. So I said that all that to say is that there's some people out there that say you shouldn't conform to anything, you should just be yourself, but the system's not constructed that way. What I will say is that you do have to conform to something at some point in time in order to advance in life.
Right.
I mean, I didn't mean to talk over you, but go ahead, sir.
Oh no, right. I agree. I completely agree. And to comply with the laws that's in place, to comply with rules. That's we are not against obeying laws. This is not what we are speaking against when we mention not conforming. You know, we should all conform on certain levels. Now, when we looking at conformity in a moral sense, one shouldn't have to conform his moral ethics to fit into a society. Now, when we look at, as we was mentioning earlier about just being on code, you see in the laws that we live in the United States have constructed these around us, you know, and at the same time, many of us think that they don't apply to us, or we just going to rebel against it because we've taken up the mantle of being rebels without causes. But now, in order for us to get somewhere, we still conform on a minor level, whether we get a driver's license, whether we enroll our kids in school, so that way we don't receive a knock at our door, or we make sure um, certain things are provided for animals that we have, or you'll be receiving a knock at your door for that. So we conform to the rules and the law that's in society. But now when the rules and the laws start to now be passed that degrades one's moral character, this becomes what we're addressing. Do you conform to these type of colorable laws, or do you rebel against them, or do you separate yourself from them and now create your own, now such as your own society, which is in reach for us to do as a people that outnumber many nations in the world. So, conforming is is levels to it. It's just not one thing that we could say we should never conform, or on the other hand, say we just should conform, because to conform totally within a system that's oppressive to that very end is not what we should accept and adapt and become uh, normal, you know, so-called U.S. 14th Amendment citizen with that type of mindset. We should not have. So conforming in that degree, we stand against it. But we know in order for things to get accomplished, we have to conform to laws that are not degrading our moral character. Such as if I want to start a business, it's certain laws I have to conform to in order to get this paperwork pushed through and stamped. If they tell me for my business that I have to pay a franchise tax and so forth, people conform to these laws to an end in order to make and gain wealth. So we are not saying don't conform to these laws that are in place, but you should also be informed on how we are transitioning, out of this oppressive system, so that way we can have better leverage. But we should never conform our moral ethics to be accepted in any society.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
I yield with that. Thank you, brother Golf.
No, you're welcome. So your understanding is conformity. Let me see if I got you right, because it's along the pathway that I'm thinking. At some point, in order to function within the society that has an occupying government, that being, de facto or being quote unquote of European origin or fictitious, even, we unfortunately, because of the position that we are in, we unfortunately will have to conform to a certain degree with the existing system that's, from this occupying government.
Right.
And I happen to agree, because I thought that I could change things by being a part of it from within. But I found out soon after becoming involved in it that I wouldn't be making a change. However, since I stepped away and retired from my previous career, I have to check the statistics to be certain. Right. But since I left the career, there have been more in that agency that I worked in that were like me, that have joined the ranks. So by virtue of that, it's possible that I did make a difference. Because when I was working in the law enforcement profession for a number of years. And I was, for a long period of time, I was the only black guy in my patrol area. I'm talking about an entire region, working a radio car for several years. And this is after they hadn't hired anyone, let's just say, for the purposes of conversation, this term of, person of color, black male, for about 4 years. And I was the only one in the academy. Made it through the process thinking that I could possibly be a catalyst for change. Faced my own career pitfalls. That's a whole other story. But I don't want to think that the career choice I made in my 20s was something foolish. I want to think that I gave it the best shot and I tried. And but it's affected me so much. It's affected me today in my thinking, in my approach to things having to deal with the Moorish paradigm. Because I've heard from some that I should have never worked in that profession, that I was selling myself short, that I was selling myself out, that I wasn't doing the best for my people. Where I can tell you on the ground that I did the best I could within the circumstances I was dealt with. And I was being a marketable, tax-paying homeowner in order to better my life situation and circumstances at the time. Because there were no other options available to me then. But that's in the past, and I think I bring a lot with me now from that experience that can help things today, such as, dealing with jurisprudence, dealing with the legal system. I'm able to shed light on that from learned experience, I think. But oftentimes we get so caught up as a movement without having full acknowledgement that at some point we have to play the game within the confines of the system. Even though you object to it, There's nothing else that's tangibly available that can circumvent it or alleviate it altogether. So you're not wrong for subscribing to the existing system and keeping in mind, bearing in mind that you have to work within it and function in order to try to change it to the best of your ability. And it may not happen within the span of one's lifetime. It may not happen in the span of my lifetime. But if we instill the energy, or if we instill the effort now and create building blocks for those that they could use to follow us, I think it's going to really be a benefit to future generations. And I don't put myself on that pedestal. It's just my thinking behind this all.
Right.
I yield.
Yes. I'm totally agreeing, Brother Dolph. And, if that goes with, any condition, any people that, born in oppression, born in any type of environment where they are placed at odds, then no matter what, you are being brought up in a condition of conformity to a degree. And, whether, you have to plan and plot for a month, 2 months, 3 months till you really, gain the strength or the tools to really pry open your full freedom, then in that 3 month or 4 month of waiting and getting stronger and building, that's still conformity to a degree in there, because you have to stay under the radar. You have to move in a certain manner in order until you gain that strength. And just like, even if we put ourselves in the mind state of, you see, a slave on a plantation, enduring physical slavery. If we were to put ourselves in the mind of someone like Nat Turner or um, Denmark Vesey or
Right.
the revolutionists of Haiti,
Right.
Louis Overture.
Yeah.
If we were,
that's lean.
yeah, yeah, if we were to put ourselves in their mind state, in the process of master planning, of building and preparing, within that they had to conform to a degree, so that way they could execute the plan. They didn't just say, you know what, no, right now this is it. I'm about to just run up in the house right now and say F all of this. I'm
Right.
done. I ain't about to pick nothing else no more right now. This is it. Who with me? It didn't happen like that. They had to plan.
Right. Mm-hmm.
They went along with it for 1 more day, 2 more days, 3 more days, but they was planning in the meantime. They was gaining strength, gaining numbers.
Right.
But on the outside, it looked like conformity, didn't it? Because they didn't know what they had going on. You see, so this is the thing. We have to conform to a degree. We're not saying that we have to conform to the point where we alter our moral ethics. This is what we should never do.
Right.
But if we have to get a business license in order to obtain a legit business to pursue wealth, so that way we can fund our endeavors, then by all means. If we have to pay this, this $100 ticket, so that way you can operate your vehicle to make your money the way you've been making your money and feeding your family, then by all
Right.
means. If you paying a
Right.
mortgage, so that way you can house your family, so they don't have to be out on the street, then by all means. It's okay to conform to the degrees, because we're working the work, we're progressing, and we're transitioning. So we have to conform on levels. However, moral ethics, This is what we do not change. This is why we have to stay on our code. And we all have a written code, just as well as an unwritten code. But when we look at our written code, many of us consider ourselves religious, whether of the Islamic faith, whether the Christian faith, Judaism, Catholicism, Buddhism, whichever one that we may feel we cling closer to, or if we just say we're spiritual, then there's still some unwritten laws that are the code, the true spirituality. But in essence, what's being shared is these are written laws that all have within them true codes of moral ethics, moral progress, moral development, and societal development. But that is not what's being practiced by the so-called followers of those creeds. So this is why we all are off code, because we could have those on the Eastern Hemisphere that are predominantly Muslims, along with Buddhists and Hindus. And we have those on our Western Hemisphere that's majority Christians, whether they carry the Catholic banner or any other denomination. It's all under the Christian banner. However, these being the largest religions in the world, they all have a written code. And if just the practitioners of those faiths were to follow the written code, it would change the whole facelift of the world. If they followed the written code that were actually within the scriptures.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for instance, the Western Hemisphere being majority Christians, we have a Bible, and then within the Bible, there's laws and codes that we must adhere to. However, we disregard those to go by the United States laws over ours, which now leads us down a path of damnation because now we have altered our moral ethics. You know, you
Mm-hmm.
see, but
Mm-hmm.
we still say that we're Christian, and even though the Western Hemisphere is 95% Christian, but they throw away this code, then this is why the West look the way it looks. It looks like a wilderness.
Right.
It looks like a whorehouse. And then same on the East. The East, they also have codes that are very strictly written that these
Mm-hmm.
practitioners don't adhere to. This is why the East look the way it do. This
Right.
is why they are even frightened of the West because they have lost their grip on the strong foundation that the codes rest on. They they and I don't want to make any separate. So I'm gonna just put it all in the same category and say we, from the west to the east,
Mm-hmm.
fail to
So
follow the scriptures.
is it safe to say we've gotten away from the old time religion?
True, far
And
away.
what actually is that supposed to be? And if you could actually highlight the differences between spirituality and being religious or devoutly religious, what have you.
Spirituality and religion is one and the same. We only come to a point now, and especially within Western society, where we want to separate spirituality from religion because we have seen the wicked works of wicked men tarnish religion in the name of God, in the name of Jesus, and so forth. So we'll throw the baby out with the bathwater and say, you know, damn religion, I'm only spiritual. Because that now puts us in an environment where there's nothing written that we could go by. So we are now left to interpret things as we will. So if I don't want to adhere to any laws, whether I want to just say they man-made or not, even if I never read them or not, if I don't want to
Ah,
go by any laws, I'm just going to say I'm spiritual. You see, because there
ah,
are no
there you go.
spiritual laws that really makes me adhere to do anything. So I'm spiritual. Or, the ancestors talk to me. Which ancestors? Because we also had ones that wasn't on the right path. But
Right. Right.
when we look at the conditions of the world, then it goes to show then which ancestors are speaking to many.
Right.
And this is the thing of, when we look at, religion, etymologically, it means, to bind, you know.
Right.
However, putting it in a proper context of religion, we have to bind what per se? Because when we talk, speaking in Arabic, we reference it as deen. But the thing being, we have to be specific on the context of even how we use words. We cannot just bring a word up and now not necessarily put it in a context.
Mm-hmm.
So when we say, religion etymologically means to bind, it referring to binding the souls, binding the spirit to the physical flesh,
Right.
to matter.
I think people are thrown off over the dogmatic approach that's apparently inherent within religion or some religious practices. At least that's the way I take it.
Exactly.
People, it's just the dogma that's associated with it. When you got people coming to you with the quote unquote good book, and it kind of makes you shy away because it's like, well, part of you is like, speaking for myself, it's like, well, I feel guilt, and then I feel like it's suppressing me because it's holding me to a certain level of standards that I have to apply. And then there's so many things about religion itself, or depending on the practice of it, y'all tend to you question it and think, oh well, it's all made up anyway.
Right.
It's just a book of stories. And then I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do as long as I'm not hurting anybody.
Right.
What was the other question I had before that? I think it touched on. It was on the it'll come back to me in a second. I'm doing too many things at once. But yeah, so those man, there's just so many topics to bring up. I mean, you know what? I wanted to see, let me see if this will play right, because what I want to do is talk about the product offerings with your company, More Beauty, right? You're also affiliated with that.
Right. Yes.
And I'll be honest, I am kind of biased because I am using, one of your products, which is the hemp seed oil. I'll let you talk about that as I pull up a nice little commercial spot for you. You could get that at your website, right?
Right. Yep. You could get the hemp seed oil on the website at the embassyofthemoors.org.
All right. You'll see the ticker at the bottom of the screen. Are you working on any more products? I understand that you're working on some other
yes, we've been working on another product.
Okay.
It is the other product we're working on is the shampoo and body wash, hemp infused shampoo and body wash. We've been working on that. That will be coming to the market soon. Man, and we also are working on hemp infused toothpaste.
Need stress. Take in those minerals and vitamins. I'm sorry, I was getting ready to play the voice act.
Go ahead, please. No, please. I haven't heard it in a while.
All right. Yeah, let me I thought I had it together, but I guess I don't. I'm faking it till I make it here. Here we go. Bolster your immune system. Help alleviate stress. Take in those minerals and vitamins that you really need. Nutrients like vitamin B, omega fatty acids 3, 6, and 9, and many more nutrients. More Beauty now offers hemp seed oil. We all know that health is wealth. We must do all we can to maintain it. More Beauty offers 100% hemp seed oil, a natural option. Hemp seed oil available from More Beauty. Order yours today from the embassyofthemoors.org. The embassyofthemoors.org. Yeah, there you go. There you go. And I'm not just an advertiser. I'm actually a client. So
Thank you. And I want to also highlight that every purchase of the hemp seed oil, it goes to that the organization. It goes towards us being able to acquire land, so that way we could provide for ourselves. We now be in a position to build our own homes, schools, and so forth, and not conform, because this is the we know what we have to look at as a people is the acquisition of land development. So every purchase of hemp seed oil goes towards us further strengthening our economic independence. So that way we could now also farm and no longer rely on others, when we now would have the ability to grow our own raw material, which is hemp itself, to continue to provide for the three necessities of life. So being a customer is more than just being a customer. It
Oh yeah.
comes with a membership. It comes with uh, being on the green side,
Hmm.
which is better for all of life.
Right. And I need it for my health anyway. I'm taking steps towards wellness. It's a wellness supplement,
Right,
and
right,
it was a no brainer. It was a no brainer. Easy to use. I add it to my coffee. Sometimes I'll just have it straight out of the dropper, and I'm good to go. And I'm trying to get Brother Adele to set up a subscription package, so they could just auto bill me once a month for this product. So, and also too, of course, it talks about being, we're talking about conformity. We're looking at hopefully you'll be looking at what Amazon in the future, right?
right. Exactly.
I mean, it's fair to say, and when we talk about land acquisition, we talked about that on our previous lives, and we're going to be talking about that in more live presentations to come. The tantamount importance that having land is, and what it all involves. I mean, look at us right now with this dilemma that we're facing, where I've seen reports that they're out there killing off farmers' crops in that. And all this is just, feeding into the machine. It's feeding into the social manipulation, the stuff that you hear out there on alternate forms of media. I follow the B side of media, not necessarily A side. There's people that are out there that are putting some information to the masses to lead you to really towards what is likely most truth telling, because you're not going to get the truth in corporate media. And I'm leveraging myself with my own efforts to, try to do my part and advance, media, because I believe in a medium of exchange as far as information goes, that's coming from us and from the people, which is what we actually are and should be representing within, well, what's known as a theocratic Republican form of government. But that's a whole other conversation for another day, and a deeper hole to dig. But that's already dug, because there's all these. I've been in a lot of rabbit holes this past year, 2 years, man. I'll tell you what. But listen, I hate to sound like I'm getting ready to curtail things or sound halting, but I can leave the feed open if you would like to. I don't want to put that pressure on you, but I actually have to run a personal errand here.
Right. I recall. We could go ahead
Okay.
and close out.
Yeah, we can go ahead and close out, but I'll let you have the closing words, brother, and then I'll end the show. Go ahead.
Okay. Um, well, first and foremost, thank everybody for joining us. Those that came in, um, those that will tune in, later in the future at their convenience. Um, let's continue to, study. And what we should study is, some of the things we were talking about today is being on code, what that means, and how we could really gain a true foundation, so that way we could be on a true code that represents and reflects the beauties and the progress of life in every way possible, morally and mentally. So one thing that I want to highlight that we should study is we not last week, I believe it was session before that, week before, we had a
Right.
session on moral ethics. And that is something that we should always have at the focus of our mind, is always developing self. And the best way for us to do that is not only working to put ourselves in a position where we can always be around like-minded people as far as in society, but we should study the teachings of Buddha. We should study, for those who have a Moorish Holy Quran, we should study the Moorish Holy Quran, and strengthen in that study the teachings of Buddha, as mentioned, because Buddha, specifically of his mission, came with many lessons that are strictly for moral and ethical correction. So just as all scriptures, all religions go over moral ethics and development. However, we are not neglecting any avenue of study in those areas, but we are highlighting that the teachings of Buddha goes into a further analysis on mitigating and altering unwholesome habits to develop wholesome habits. So with that being said, peace and love, and thank you again, Brother Dolph, for your time.
Hey man, we're going to do this more often. And those of you out there listening on the live and on the playback, just know that we're going to be back here showing improving, or at least having some organic conversation today. And this is not the last time. This wasn't the first time that we did this. We'll be doing more of this in the coming weeks. As a matter of fact, starting next week, I'll be having regularly scheduled programs, shows. I'm looking at twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays. I'll try to announce that and put that on the social forum platforms or whatever that I have, and let you guys all know. But thank you very much, Brother Adele, for dropping through and lending us your insight as always. Like I said, I got to go out and run off these errands and stuff like that. And it's good talking to you, brother, as always. We'll see you next time. All right.
Peace and love.
Peace and love, brother. All right, everybody, I'm signing off. Thanks for joining me. And we'll see you sooner than later. All right. Peace and love. Brother Dolph. Open Mindspace today. I was your host. Glad to bring it to you. Peace and love, everybody. Be well.